Good afternoon. I hope everyone can hear me okay. I am at home today doing Monday Money Matters. Today is Monday, October the 26th. A little under the weather, but I'm good. And I'm here today to share all about holidays, budgeting, and the pandemic. A little bit of stats from last year. I mean, who would have thought that here almost 9, 10 months later, we're still dealing with this pandemic. And at the same time, it seems like time has stood still, but also so much time has passed. It's just kind of weird, and days have kind of meshed into each other. But the holidays are among us, folks. Last year, for 2019, Americans, 93% of American consumers purchased Christmas gifts. Not everybody does. And the average spent was roughly $930. Only 56% set a holiday budget, and out of that 56%, only 64% stuck to it, and 21% went over budget. I don't know how many of you fall into that category. 1 out of 5 consumers went into debt during the Christmas 2019 holiday, and their plans for paying that debt usually showed up in 2020, with 30% saying they were going to pay off their debt from holiday shopping with a tax refund. 27% weren't quite sure how they were going to pay off their holiday debt from 2019. 27% there was a mix of personal loans, um, credit cards, or balance transfers to try and pay off, or maybe strategically try to find cheaper ways or less expensive ways with either reduced interest, fees, et cetera, to pay off holiday debt in 2019. And then 16% indicated that they used or transferred balances to 0% interest rate cards, with the hopes that they were able to pay them off in the required amount of time to keep that 0% interest rate. But then what happened? What happened this year? In March, before everyone even probably received their tax refunds, or had a chance to um, pay back certain things that maybe they had planned to do so, the pandemic hit. Almost immediately, by the end of March, at least here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, jobs were lost. There were lots of layoffs. Businesses shut down completely. Um, if you didn't lose your job completely, you had some type of reduction of hours. The whole methodology of how your business or your employer even operated changed. So anything that any consumer may have planned to kind of get back into good graces debt wise from 2019 kind of went all out the window as soon as the pandemic hit. So, what does that mean? Does that mean that we learned from this experience? What do we do going into the holiday season for 2020 during a pandemic where we still have unemployment rates, we still have reduced incomes, we still have kids that are home at school, and we have rising exposure and positive test results? There's just still so much uncertainty that is happening pretty much nationwide. What do we do? What are people planning on doing? 39% are planning on spending less this year. And I think I'm actually surprised that that number is not a little bit higher. Um, I would just assume that because of the uncertainty, but I also do understand that a lot of people want to be able to try and still maintain some level of normalcy. And if they don't have any control over anything else, with kids going to school, with your employer, with your job, with their hours, working from home, or whatever, if those are things that are out of your control, most people probably at least hope that what they can control is how they present holiday and the experiences of holidays, especially for children. 49% still plan on spending the same amount this year, and 47%, and I also thought this would be a lot higher, plan on shopping online. Obviously, the holiday shopping season is usually accomplished through crowded shopping malls, retail outlets, big box stores. Retailers always hope for the rebounding of sales and revenue at this time of year, which is the whole reason why Black Friday was created or why it was coined Black Friday, because Black Friday means that they are taking their sales that have basically been in the negative or the red all year, and they're able to actually flip that and end up in the black with a profit after the holidays. So that's technically where the Black Friday term comes from. And even though we would all like some sort of pre-COVID normalcy, and most would love for us to be able to do that around the holidays and around the tables with our families and friends, but then we also throw in regular flu season, along with the rise of positive COVID cases. It may just be that spending time at grandma's house this year may not be safe. So with small businesses that are trying to recover with the continued unemployment, reduced incomes, and there's just so much uncertainty looming, the holiday season, excuse me, is going to look and probably will look different for a lot of people. Um, so whether the pandemic has hit your wallet or it's hit your social calendar or maybe it's hit both, um, you may really have to get creative with out of the box thinking and ideas to hopefully um, make the most of your situation this holiday season. So first and foremost, just acknowledge right up front that things are probably going to be a little different or a lot different. Explaining to kids sometimes might be a little bit harder, especially depending on their ages and things of that nature, but just being mindful to everyone involved that things may be a little bit different. Um, Having those discussions with the family in general, with the greater family. If normally you have huge family gatherings, but now we may have to um, curtail those some a little bit just because of the pandemic. We already know that indoor gatherings with large crowds seems to be the biggest petri dish, if you will, of spreading germs. So maybe the weather will be nice for us, and maybe we can have some of these large family gatherings outdoors instead. I know that's kind of hard if you're in Colorado or some of these places that are already getting snow now. But in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, sometimes we can have some really mild weather. So just being mindful of that and having those conversations with family, with friends. Travel is different. Um, you probably wouldn't catch me on an airplane anytime soon. Anyway, so just talking to family, finding out what the true expectations are of the holidays, and just being able to adjust the scale maybe of the holiday celebrations if necessary, or divvy up the tasks, or spread out the responsibility of cooking or the financial aspect of things. Just in whatever way, you may have some family members that have been drastically affected by the pandemic and have been out of work ever since March, or you may have some family members that have not financially had any impact and they're fine. Um, Fine. But what I'm saying is that we have to all kind of communicate those things and just kind of figure out collectively as a family or as a community or whomever you spend your holidays with on what is going to be the best fit for everyone. And then just get creative with everything else. If you have to have a Zoom dinner, maybe it's a Zoom dinner. If you're mailing gifts to someone and you're opening them over a FaceTime call, a Zoom call, web calls, or video chats. It may just be that. Prioritizing your gift lists. Again, there's nothing wrong with scaling things down or being a little bit more conservative if necessary, because we are still uncertain as to how far into 2021, the effects of the pandemic will last. So prioritizing your gift list. Maybe this year it's all about true needs versus wants. Maybe it's, hey, um, Auntie Emily needs her light bill paid, so for Christmas we're going to pay her light bill. Janice needs groceries this year, and um, so we're going to get a Food Lion gift card for groceries, or a gas card for gas for someone that may still have to travel a lot for their job or for caregiving, or whatever the case may be. Really think about the needs of potential family members. And remember, sometimes we're not all very vocal about our needs and maybe things that we may be struggling in. So you may have to have some conversations, polite conversations, just to kind of find out, what some actual needs are. If there's a lot of children in your family, finding out what their needs are. What size are they in? They grow like weeds. They're probably needing socks and shoes and undergarments and all kinds of things. So there's just no telling. I'm sure there's plenty of um, needs that go around that could be um, delved out between family members. The biggest thing too is once you kind of have that priority list, a gift list in mind with your gift giving family members, what is your realistic budget? Keyword realistic. Sure, it would be great if we just, had no budget. We could spend what we want to spend. Oh, maybe not. But what is a realistic budget for holiday spending? And that's everything like, Thanksgiving, that's meal prep, purchasing meal items. If you do have to travel somewhere, even if it's just gas money to get to Greensboro, that's still gas money to get to Greensboro. If you have family that is far away and you're planning on traveling far away, what is that going to look like with either gas, a rental car, or flying if you choose to go that option, if you choose to go that route? Gift giving, how is that going to affect? Is your employer, are they closed for the holidays? Does that affect your pay? Thinking, forecast wise, what does your income and expenses look like over the next couple of months? If the weather starts changing and the temperatures get cold, our heating bills and heating costs go up. So how does that all play into this, especially right now with the uncertainty and not knowing how long some of these things may last with regards to the pandemic and how that affects employment? Start now. Basically, everything that I have been reading online and seeing online, the holiday season is pretty much among us. For those that have, possibly graced a brick and mortar store, they're already putting Christmas stuff out. We haven't even had Halloween yet. Christmas stuff is out. Um, Thanksgiving stuff has been out probably for months. But Christmas decorations and gifts. I got an Amazon toy catalog in the mail the other day. Um, it is among us, and because of the pandemic, lots of online retailers are probably really hoping for online shopping, as if Amazon probably already isn't busy enough. I know they be. I'm actually waiting for a delivery now to come to my house, but so they're already kind of expanding what the holiday shopping center traditionally would be, season, excuse me, not center. And so starting now, they're hoping that, a lot of times, like I said, with Black Friday, it's probably not going to be so much in the brick and mortar stores where you're lined up at 2 o'clock in the morning waiting for the store to open, because we don't know what that's going to look like during a pandemic and if it's going to be allowed and how many people are going to be allowed in the store at a time, or things of that nature. So those kinds of things, and I know sometimes that's a tradition for a lot of people. I know several families that they plan their shopping for Black Friday early in the morning. They plan their route, they plan their stores based on sales and needs and what they're wanting to get. And so we don't know what that's going to look like this year. So a lot of it probably will be online, and they may be offering a lot of Black Friday sales and holiday sales earlier than ever because of the pandemic. And then, of course, the more online shopping we do, the less likely that we will have overcrowded retail stores with large crowds and the possibility of exposure. So, all of those things kind of have to come into play. Um, There was actually a survey from the PwC that found that 40% of people plan to spend less on the holidays than they did last year. And that really ties into that stat a few minutes ago that I actually got from financial social work, where I think they said 39%. So yeah, 39, 40%, that's about right compared to last year. And of course, over half of the people in this survey reported that their income has been negatively affected by the pandemic. So the pandemic has caused lifestyle changes all across the board, and it continues to affect your wallet, and it can make it hard to plan for the holiday. Keep it simple. And actually, this came up on a memory on my Facebook not too long ago. But a couple of years ago, I had a client who actually told me we were going over budgets and holidays and birthdays and all of those things to make a very comprehensive budget. And she said she does not stress out over holidays and birthdays and things of that nature. She keeps it down to four things. She says, get something you want, something you need, something to wear, something to read. And that is something that she has always lived by with regards to gift giving for her kids. That's four gifts. Um, and that may be a good suggestion or a good tip or a good idea, or it may not. But I just always liked it. I like the way it flowed and it rhymes. Something you want, something you need, something to wear, something to read. That way you've got a want covered, a need covered. We always need something to wear, which probably is going to be some socks or some underwear, and something to read, a book, anything that would be of interest to your age appropriate, for age appropriate children. So try not to stress out. I know that's really probably not a very feasible thing to say, but we already have so much that's going on right now with everyone dealing with the pandemic and what's going on. Holidays are probably going to even exacerbate that even further, which is unfortunate. But just remember the true meaning of the season. It's all about our health, our families, being together, taking care of one another, socially distanced. Just do the best that you can. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to, get creative with ways that you may have to discuss with your kids that, Santa's not able to come to everybody's house because of the pandemic, or, whatever we have to do to try and make it creative and make it work for our families. So if anybody has other tips, tricks, suggestions, comments, things or ideas that you're doing this year for the holidays during this crazy pandemic, I would love to hear from you. You can comment in the comment section on the post once this goes once the recording goes onto the Facebook page. Um, Anytime you share this post, if anyone has comments or suggestions on how they are going to address and tackle the whole holiday budgeting, finances, pandemic this year. And most importantly, I just hope that everyone stays well um, and um, and take care of one another. Until next week, I appreciate you and thank you very much. And I hope you have a great Monday.